Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a journey into the hidden world of British pre-decimal coins. At first glance, these pennies may look like ordinary pieces of copper, but behind them lies a story of history, rarity, and staggering value. Some were struck in secret, others carry mysterious details, and one in particular, a coin from the reign of King George V, holds a secret so powerful that it has kept collectors talking for decades. Stay with me till the end of this video, because what you're about to discover is not just about coins, it's about treasures that could change your life. Let's begin our journey with the very first treasure of today's video, the 1937 British pre-decimal penny. At first sight, it may appear like just an old coin, but trust me, this piece carries a charm that has made collectors chase it for years. The coin features the strong and dignified profile of King George VI on the obverse, a monarch whose reign began in 1936 after the sudden abdication of his brother, King Edward VIII. That alone gives this coin a sense of historic importance, as it marks the very first year of George VI's pennies. 1937 was a year of new beginnings for Britain. A new king, a new era, and with it, a new coinage design. Collectors today see these first-issue coins not just as currency, but as symbols of a royal chapter that began with strength and resilience. Now, why is the 1937 penny so valuable? Because coins from the very first year of issue always hold a special place in history. They are the foundation of an entire coinage series, and collectors across the world always prioritize owning the first coin struck under a new monarch. The penny itself is crafted in bronze, and on the reverse side sits the timeless figure of Britannia, holding her shield and trident, a symbol of Britain's power and legacy. This design had been a proud feature for decades, but in 1937, it carried a fresh meaning under a brand new king. Collectors know very well that these coins, especially in excellent condition, are not easy to come by. Many of them were heavily circulated, handled daily by millions, which makes a surviving specimen in pristine condition incredibly rare. And here's the exciting part. While an ordinary 1937 penny may not raise eyebrows, one in top-notch condition can sell for an unbelievable amount. Some specimens have fetched as high as $2,500 at auction, simply because they represent the very start of King George VI coinage. Think about it. A simple bronze penny, once worth just 1/100th of a pound, now transformed into a collector's prize worth thousands of dollars. That is the magic of numismatics. This coin is living proof that history, rarity, and passion can turn the smallest object into something priceless. Imagine holding in your hand the first penny ever struck under George VI. It's like owning the opening chapter of a king's reign. And here's where the motivation comes in. Treasures like this are still out there, waiting to be discovered. A coin in your drawer, a penny tucked away in an old box, could be worth more than you ever dreamed. The 1937 penny shows us that value is not always about gold or silver. Sometimes it's about history, uniqueness, and the stories coins carry with them. This is just the first coin of our incredible journey today. And if you think the 1937 penny is special, just wait until you see the others, because hidden among the coins we'll cover are some of the rarest and most valuable pieces ever struck in British history. So don't go anywhere, because what's coming next might surprise you even more. Stay tuned, and let's uncover the next treasure together. After exploring the first treasure of 1937, let's move forward just 2 years in history, to 1939. A year that shook the entire world and gave us a coin that today stands as a silent witness to that turbulent time. The 1939 British pre-decimal penny, featuring the portrait of King George VI, was struck in the very year Britain entered the Second World War. This fact alone makes the coin carry far more than just monetary value. It carries the weight of history. When you hold a 1939 penny in your hand, you are holding a piece of metal that circulated at a time when millions of men were being called to war,
when the world stood on the edge of chaos, and when Britain itself was preparing for the darkest chapter in modern history. Collectors today don't just see bronze in this coin. They see a connection to real people who lived, struggled, and survived through those times. Every scratch, every mark on a 1939 penny could very well have been made in the pocket of a soldier, a factory worker, or a family trying to get through rationing. And what makes it even more fascinating is that these coins were minted in smaller numbers compared to other years of the George VI series. With resources being diverted to the war effort, coin production was not the priority it once was. That limited striking has turned 1939 pennies into sought-after treasures. The obverse carries George VI's noble profile, a king who never expected to sit on the throne, but rose to lead his nation with courage. The reverse, as always, carries Britannia, her shield and trident, reminding the people of Britain's enduring strength, even in times of despair. Now, let's talk about its value. A regular worn penny might have passed unnoticed back then, but today, if you own a 1939 penny in outstanding condition, you could be looking at a prize worth up to $3,000. Yes, that's right. A coin once worth just 1 penny, now commanding thousands of dollars among collectors worldwide. Imagine that. A coin once used to buy a loaf of bread, now considered a historic treasure. That's the power of time, history, and rarity combined. And here's the motivation. Treasures like this are not locked away in museums alone. They sometimes sit in people's old boxes, drawers, or collections without them realizing the fortune they hold. You could very well come across one without even expecting it. The 1939 penny reminds us that value doesn't only lie in gold and silver. Sometimes the humblest of metals tell the richest of stories. This is why collectors chase it, why auctions light up when one appears in pristine quality, and why the value continues to rise year after year. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is only the second coin in our journey today. We have more rare, valuable, and breathtaking coins ahead, including one from King George V's reign that holds a mystery like no other. So keep watching, because the next coin will reveal yet another chapter of history and another opportunity for you to discover the hidden fortune of British pennies. As we move deeper into our journey of rare treasures, it is now time to uncover the story of the 1944 British pre-decimal penny. And believe me, this coin is far more than just a piece of bronze. It is a living witness to one of the most dramatic years in modern history. The year 1944 was not just any year. It was the turning point of the Second World War. D-Day, the invasion of Normandy, and the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany all happened in 1944. While the world was at war, coins like this 1944 penny were being struck for everyday use. And that is exactly what makes it so special. It connects directly to the lives of ordinary people during extraordinary times. On the obverse of this penny sits the portrait of King George VI, the wartime monarch who became a symbol of courage for his nation. His steady gaze on the coin reminded the people of Britain that their king stood with them through bombings, rationing, and sacrifice. It was more than a face on a coin. It was a reminder of unity and strength. On the reverse, Britannia once again holds her trident and shield, a symbol that echoed resilience at a time when Britain needed it most. Imagine how many hands this coin must have passed through. Soldiers, mothers, children, factory workers, all playing their part in the fight for freedom. Now, here's where the magic lies. Because of the sheer scale of wartime production and the strain on the British economy, many coins were produced quickly and heavily used. As a result, finding a 1944 penny in outstanding, mint condition is incredibly rare. Most were worn down in everyday circulation, carrying the scars of a nation at war. And this is why collectors today go after this coin. not only because it belongs to a historically important year, but because a perfectly preserved example is so hard to find. The fewer the survivors in top condition, the higher the demand among collectors. So, how valuable can it be? While ordinary examples might look common, an uncirculated 1944 penny has sold for astonishing prices, sometimes reaching up to $4,500 at auctions. That's thousands of dollars for a coin that once had the humble value of just 1 penny. Think about that for a moment. A coin that once bought a small loaf of bread or a newspaper during wartime could now change your life if you own the right one. That is the beauty of numismatics. And here's the motivation I want to share with you. Coins like these are not just sitting in museums. They are often found in personal collections, passed down in families, or even hidden in old drawers. You might already own one without realizing what a treasure you have. The 1944 penny teaches us something very important. Never underestimate the power of history. What seems ordinary today could be priceless tomorrow. Collectors chase this coin not just because of its rarity, but because of the story it tells. Each 1944 penny is a reminder of resilience, survival, and hope. And when you hold one, you are holding a piece of that very spirit. Now remember, this is just the third coin in our exciting journey. We still have more treasures ahead, including coins with secrets and mysteries that even seasoned collectors find breathtaking. And let me remind you once again, one particular coin from King George V's era still holds the greatest suspense of them all. So don't go anywhere, because the deeper we go, the more incredible these coins will become. The 1944 penny has shown us the strength of history, but the next coins might just show us the meaning of fortune. Stay tuned, because the best is yet to come.
Our journey now brings us to a coin that carries the weight of victory, sacrifice, and change. The 1945 British pre-decimal penny. This is not just a piece of bronze. It is a symbol of the final year of the Second World War, a year that reshaped the world forever. The obverse of this coin features King George VI, the steady monarch who guided Britain through the darkest days of the war. By 1945, his image on the penny represented not only leadership, but also the resilience of an entire nation that had endured bombings, rationing, and unimaginable loss. The reverse, once again, shows Britannia holding her trident and shield, but in this year her figure took on a new meaning. She no longer only symbolized strength during war, but hope for peace and victory. Every 1945 penny reminds us of that pivotal moment in history when the guns fell silent and the world finally saw the end of the conflict. But what makes the 1945 penny truly valuable is not just its symbolism. This was the very last penny struck during the war, and it was minted in lower numbers compared to other years. With so many coins heavily used in circulation, finding a well-preserved 1945 penny today is no easy task. Collectors treasure it because it represents the closing chapter of one of the greatest struggles humanity has ever faced. Owning this coin is like holding the final page of a history book written in blood, sacrifice, and triumph. Now let's talk about its value. A circulated example may look ordinary, but when you find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, the story changes completely. Such coins have sold for extraordinary amounts, with prices climbing as high as $5,000 at auction. Imagine that, a humble penny from 1945, once used to buy a newspaper or a rationed sweet, now transformed into a collector's dream, worth thousands of dollars. And here is where the true motivation lies. This coin reminds us that history is not just something locked away in books. It is alive, and sometimes it's sitting right in our homes, waiting to be rediscovered.
That old coin collection passed down by your grandparents or the forgotten box of pennies in your drawer could very well hide a treasure, like the 1945 penny. The demand for coins like this keeps growing because they carry not just metal, but memory. Collectors chase them, investors value them, and history lovers cherish them. The 1945 penny is proof that even the smallest coin can carry the largest story. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is only the fourth coin in our thrilling journey. More treasures are yet to come. We still have coins ahead that will leave you astonished, including one from King George V's reign that hides a secret so powerful it has become the crown jewel of British penny collecting. So don't leave your seat, because every step deeper into this journey brings us closer to that ultimate mystery. The 1945 penny is a story of victory, but what's next might just be a story of fortune beyond imagination. Stay tuned, because the adventure is far from over.
Throughout this journey, we have uncovered some of the most extraordinary coins of British history. From the very first penny of King George VI to the wartime issues of 1939, 1944, and 1945, each coin has carried a unique story of value, courage, and rarity. But now, we arrive at the moment you have been waiting for. The coin that has remained wrapped in mystery. The coin that has collectors around the world talking in whispers. This, my friends, is the legendary penny of King George V. At first glance, it looks like any other pre-decimal penny. Bronze in color, Britannia on the reverse, and the noble portrait of King George V on the obverse. But make no mistake, this is no ordinary coin. This is a piece of history that has achieved almost mythical status. King George V reigned from 1910 until 1936, a period that saw Britain through the First World War, political change, and the dawn of modern times. His coinage was produced in massive numbers. But among those countless pennies, there exists a rare variety that has become one of the most sought-after treasures in British numismatics. And what makes it so rare? In certain years of George V's reign, especially in the early 1920s, specific pennies were struck in extremely low numbers. Some were even withdrawn, melted down, or never widely released to the public. This means that surviving examples are not only scarce, they are almost impossible to find. One particular George V penny has gained legendary fame, the elusive 1933 penny. Only a handful were struck, not for circulation, but for ceremonial purposes like church foundation stones and national collections. Today, this coin is considered the holy grail of British pennies. And when one appears at auction, the bidding war is nothing short of breathtaking. Imagine this, a coin with a face value of just 1 penny, once ignored by millions, now worth a life-changing amount of money. Some George V pennies have sold for well over $200,000 at auction, making them one of the most valuable copper coins in the entire world. Collectors dream of it, historians marvel at it, and investors see it as a golden opportunity. The George V penny has transcended the world of ordinary coins and become a symbol of fortune and rarity. Think about it. A tiny bronze coin, smaller than the palm of your hand, holding the power to transform a life. This is the magic of numismatics. And this is why collectors and treasure hunters never stop searching, hoping that one day they will stumble upon the rarest of them all. And here's where I want to motivate you. Treasures like this are not always locked away in museums or vaults.
Some of them still lie hidden in old boxes, in forgotten drawers, in family collections that nobody has touched in decades. The rare George V penny could be closer to you than you think. The story of this coin teaches us that greatness is not measured in size or weight, but in rarity, history, and meaning. It reminds us that something as small as a penny can carry a fortune beyond imagination. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we close this chapter of our incredible coin journey, remember this. Coins are not just metal. They are time capsules. They carry the power of history, the beauty of rarity, and the possibility of treasure. And who knows? The next great discovery might be in your hands. The next legendary George V penny might be waiting for you. All it takes is curiosity, patience, and the courage to look. So keep searching, keep believing, and never forget, sometimes the smallest coin can hold the biggest secret.